It is Sunday, April the 22nd. The final scandal has come and gone. And this is the final Scandalous Scandal recap. Recap. We are calling this the Scandal Recap Recap. I'm your host, Larry Brown Jr., for the last time, joined by my fantastic friend, your fantastic friend too, the Janaya. Right, Janaya, good afternoon. How do you do?
Hey, LBJ, I am doing very well. But again, it's just like last Thursday, LBJ. It's so
It
bittersweet.
is super duper
I'm,
bittersweet,
I'm
right?
so happy. I'm so happy that we found a way to hang on for one more minute. You know, all the members of our chat family saying, let's just get together one more time. I'm so happy we're doing this. But it's like, now this is really it.
No,
So,
this is really, 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 and it's so crazy to know that this is
oh
really it.
gosh.
Also, super duper crazy because you all really, really, really came back for this on a Sunday afternoon. Some of you have had a boozy brunch already. Some of you had to dinner. So thank you so very much. The folks are here. Janaya Deborah Battle is here. Kelly,
Yay!
PDG, Diane Jones, Vinyl Poetic Classics. We have Mrs. Creole Davis, Lorraine Carter. Hey, Lorraine. We have who else is here with us? We have you're here. I'm here. One for All is here. Many of you are here, and many of you will watch on the replay. So thank you so very much for joining us. Listen, we are going to try to have as much fun as we can in the short time that we have with you this afternoon. And so we hope that you have civically prepared yourselves to do your civic duty according to the world and the book of scandal, because we have some opportunities for you to vote on today. So without any
Yay!
further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We want to talk about some of our favorite moments in Scandal. You will hear us
Mm-hmm.
talk about our favorite characters, our favorite scenes, favorite episodes, favorite Scandal jam sessions, all different types of elements of this that helped make this show what it was to us, because it now lives in history. It's no more. How crazy is that, right?
LBJ, it is bananas, and so we were trying to think about what is the right way for us to go about recapping this show. And LBJ, people are hearing a little bit of an echo or a double loop in our audio. I'm not sure what that is. Um, but we were trying to think about how to recap the show, and we had a lot of ideas. One idea we had was like, let's just recap like all of our favorite Scandal jam sessions, and that'll be a nice way to walk through the show. It's history. Then it was like, okay, let's do something where we just go through each character and reminisce and dissect. And anyway, so we just went through so many different ideas, and we landed on, guys, something we think will be super fun for the finale of the Scandalous Scandal recap, everybody. We're going to do today the Scandalous Scandal Recap Awards Show. And this is when I wish we had our sound effects, LBJ, because you need like award show music, like nanny.
We totally need award show music. We should have been dressed. We should have had like shimmer curtains behind
Oh my
us.
God, why did we
Like
think of that?
we should have gone all out. I should have had on a bow tie and tails.
We should be dressed up.
You know I
Duh.
love tails, right?
Yes.
We have all these different things that's going to take place tonight to this afternoon. And we're going to go through some categories here. We have a wonderful senior producer, a co-executive producer on the show. Her name is Janaya, right? She's prepared a wonderful presentation for us that I really hope does work, because we've never tried this before. But we're going to try it now and see what happens.
You may be wondering, why didn't we do a dry run? Well, that's a good question. I don't have
because
a good answer.
we have full-time jobs, and we have families, we have obligations, we have responsibilities. We are real adults who are just doing this as volunteer love for all of you. Okay, so let's see if we can make this work. If not, God bless America, and we're gonna just do our best to do this thing. Okay, so our let's see if this works. Okay, let's go to our show. We're gonna get into this. This is called
Yay!
Keep Cheering.
Yay!
All right,
Is
so
it working, Jay?
here we go.
Yeah, that's there.
You see
But
it?
LBJ, you gotta hit F5.
I know. So
It's
that's the whole
there,
thing.
but it's
That's the
it's
whole
it's
thing.
it's not in the right format. It's
I
like,
that's what I'm trying to get to. Okay. I just don't know if it's gonna
I mean,
what
oh no, it's spoiling every LBJ. Everybody can see the other slides.
oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh no.
At least close the preview window. Hit that X,
No, wait,
and you can.
they can't see it yet.
Yes, they can,
No, now they
LBJ.
can see it because it says present to everyone.
Okay.
Now they can see that. Oh, this is
Okay.
terrible. You would think, can you see any of this switching? Can you see the switching?
LBJ, we can still see all of the slides. Oh my god.
All right, cool. So you know what? Let's do this. I have an idea. Let's stop.
Just close.
No,
Just close the.
stop. We're gonna stop. Let's do take two, okay? Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
without any further ado, please welcome yourselves to the Scandalous Scandal Recap Awards show. Woo! This is our finale award.
Yay!
Listen, this afternoon we are going to be giving. Remember, this is a live show, just like our recap show. We did not rehearse this. Come on, this is
No.
off the cuff.
Yeah.
So we have our scandalous categories, and we want you, if you're voting in the live, if you're with us live right now in the live chat, follow along, and you will have an opportunity to vote. Okay. Now you will hear us. You'll see a slide on the screen, and then you'll have an opportunity to make your vote as we talk about these various moments. And you can also, when you vote, let us know why you're voting, how you vote. Let's get into what we're going to chat about today. All right. Our categories for this afternoon. Our categories include, here are the categories. Yes. So the categories.
Oh my god.
So the categories include. I'm literally waiting for them to load.
There it is.
Yes, here they are. Categories include most realistic, most OG,
Woohoo!
the best lover of liberty, most nectar encrusted, the wackest love interest, the scariest guy, and the most scandalous. Okay, so I'll leave these up on the screen for a little while we're talking. Janiyah will prepare. So once I put the slide up, Janiyah will actually read the nominees, and you'll get a chance to see the nominees while she's reading them, and that's how we'll do that. So all the effects that were built into the show, you actually won't see, but you will see the you will see the nominees on the screen, and you'll also get a chance to see Janiyah and myself as we talk. All right. So y'all ready in the chat? Yes, thank you. And the award goes to, drumroll please. Yes, Mrs. Creole Davis. Yes. Cassie Place. Spoiler alert. I hope y'all didn't see all the categories that we have in here.
I know.
All right, here we go. Hey,
So
Linda Gaston.
LBJ.
Hey, Love Prince Nelson. Hey, who else just joined us? Rakira joined. We also have Beelan Smith. Thank you to everyone who has just joined us. We are so happy that you all came on us on a Sunday.
Yay!
All right, let's go ahead and jump into our first category, Janiyah. Our first, are you prepared to give us our first nominees?
Ready
our first category.
Yeah.
Our first category, we're going to go to, as we said in the intro slide, our first category deals with most realistic, okay? As you all are thinking, who was the most realistic portrayal of a character on the show? Think about who comes to mind. We'll give you a chance to maybe put it in the live chat. We know that there is a delay here, but we're going to let you know. We're going to show who that person is and who the nominees are. And once you take a look at those nominees, you can let us know what you think about said nominee.
Now, LBJ, I will say this first category is a little different, okay? Because in this category, we actually only have one nominee, okay?
Imagine that.
Imagine that. And so so we can help people start to guess who that one nominee is. When we are talking in this category about the most realistic, here's what we mean. There are certain characters in the show that we know are inspired by people that are here in real life, in real America, okay? That are not in Scandal Land, but are here and they are real. And that Shondaland has stripped these people from the headlines, stripped these people from our real life, and kind of used them to inspire characters in the show. And so, with all that being said, there is one character in the Scandalverse that is so true to its inspiration, to its real life inspiration, that they stand alone. We couldn't even get to any other nominees for this category, everybody. And so, with all of that prompting, I'm wondering if people can figure out who it is.
It looks like Tashelle actually called it first. Tashelle, you are absolutely correct. The person who wins the most realistic portrayal in Scandal for us is none other than who? Hollis Doyle. The shout out to Tashelle for calling out Hollis Doyle first. Next up, we had Diane Jones, as well as One for All, Char 90303. Lorraine said she thought it was Fitz. Mrs. Creel Davis thought that it was Susan. To us, it was Hollis Doyle. Janaya, as you know, there was one point when we first met the character Hollis Doyle, prior to us actually going to the polls and voting in real life. I vowed not to mention the name Hollis Doyle because I didn't want to put any bad juju out in the atmosphere.
You got that right.
You know, and I think we talk too much about Hollis Doyle, not just here, but in everyday life, recapping the show over water cooler conversations. And look what happened to us in real life. Ain't that up?
we gave him too many LBJ. That's the problem.
Absolutely.
And let's just remind ourselves really quickly of who Hollis Doyle is. Hollis Doyle in the show, he is a lobbyist for a Texas-based energy company. And he also, was a candidate for president at some point during the show. And he plays dirty tricks, okay? And we know for sure that he participated in the original Scandal. And LBJ, that was Project, what was it?
That was called Defiance.
Defiance. That's right. And so that's how we met Hollis Doyle. We met him very early on in the show. He was a part of Defiance. What's Defiance? Defiance was the election rigging that got Fitz elected the very first time, LBJ. So that's how we met Hollis Doyle. And LBJ, he came in and out of the show a couple times, didn't he?
Yes, Hollis Doyle came into the show a few times. Hollis Doyle is one of those characters that we had a chance to see him, not just as the presidential candidate, the candidate for president, but we saw Hollis Doyle as this big, loud, rambunctious character. Probably season 2 and 2. He was in and out starting the season at the end of 2, I believe, and then we saw him more in 3. We initially saw him, remember, when we first started learning about the Defiance characters, all the players that had a part in Defiance, and then it grew and grew to season season 5 when we got into the election, getting into the election for president. As Fitz's second term was coming to a close. So that's how we got a chance to see Hollis Doyle. We got a chance to develop a hate-hate relationship for him simply because of what we were living in real life. And, shout out to all of you who did not have that hate-hate relationship. You may have had a loathe relationship with him. That loathe relationship with Hollis Doyle. But the nominee, the winner for the Scandalous Scandal Recap Award for most realistic goes to Hollis Doyle. Janaya, fantastic work there. Hollis Doyle is certainly worthy of it. A few folks in the chat say that Susan was really a strong second. One for All said, don't forget Hollis Doyle is loud and vulgar. Rakira says Hollis has no conscience. Lorraine Carter said, you gave Hollis life. Now he's in the WH. Creel Davis, was Hollis a member of B16? He probably was a member of B16, not B613. Hollis was a little knockoff in a few things. Hollis has a lot of fake facts about him that we won't delve into. And we also say that Char 90303 says he basically took that character over to Black Lightning on the CW. Really? So I don't watch Black Lightning, but evidently Hollis Doyle is playing the same thing on the CW. Maybe that was his audition tape that they used. And they said, you know what? We want you to do that. We want you to do exactly what Shonda Rhimes asked you to do on Scandal. And Love Prince Nelson believes the same thing about the show Black Lightning, that he took that exact same character over there. Deborah Battle says Hollis Doyle, aka 45. I think that's a great way to close out that
Yeah.
particular category. Now, this next category, Janaya, is
Mhm.
very, very special to me, and so much that we have an opportunity to take a look at individuals who serve in the capacity of original gangster. Or we probably should
Mhm.
have, instead of original gangster, we may want to call this original gladiator. Janaya, please, the category and the nominees.
Okay, so LBJ, this category of most OG. Now, our nominees are number one, you all will remember him as Olivia's original right hand man. Okay, he was a senior associate working at Olivia's Pope and Associates at the very beginning. Now, we'll talk more about him as we kind of decide who's going to get this award, everybody. But we all know Stephen didn't stay around very long. Okay, so there's not a whole lot to dig in there on. Second nominee, LBJ, for original gangsta of the Scandalverse, it is none other than Harrison Wright. Okay, another who just didn't stay with, but was he there at the? I'm glad you asked. The answer is yes. Harrison Wright at the very beginning, LBJ. And our third and final nominee for this category is none other than Gabby Abby Red, LBJ. We all know Abby Whalen, and she is a person that we've had a chance to spend a lot of time with. So LBJ, those are our nominees. Let's go to the chat. What do you
All
think,
right,
LBJ?
let's go to
Who
the
do you
chat.
vote
And the
for?
chat. So the chat is alive and popping. Let's see here. So we have a few votes here. So we've got a vote coming in first for Abby. Then we have Cassie Play 752 Harrison. One for all is at Harrison. Chardonnay 3 says Janaya Harrison is my Marcus. So we have another vote for Harrison. Vinyl Poet Classics says Stephen, Deborah Battle, Abby. She lasted all 7 seasons. Mrs. Creel Davis, Stephen Harrison, hands down from Coffee Light and Sweet. Diane Jones Harrison, Lorraine Carter Harrison. And we also say, oh, thank you, Grace. Grace said she just broke all kinds of traffic laws to get home with us. Thanks so much, Grace, for watching live. Patricia Weatherspoon, Abby. Vinyl says for me it was Harrison until he was whacked. Oh yeah, Harrison, but he didn't get any storyline. Beelan Harrison, Love Prince Nelson Harrison, Lorraine Carter Harrison took that for real life. Harrison recruited
Oh
Quinn,
gosh.
PG Harrison, Rakira OG Harrison, Kelly Harrison, and Coffee Light and Sweet Harrison was so OG that he even threw Abby under the bus by using Abby's abusive husband as a trap for
Oh,
Olivia's orders.
oh,
I forgot about
oh
that.
my God. So LBJ, as people, and what we need people to do also is to throw out their rationale, just like
Yes,
that,
yes, that's
as
really
to
good.
why you're calling out each character, because that helps us to feed into the discussion so we can all decide who wins. So LBJ, I just want to spend a little time, if I may, on the phrase OG. Okay, because OG is not, a term that everyone might be familiar with. So if you would just allow me, LBJ, just to break it down just a little bit. Okay, when we are talking about an OG is an original gangsta. Now, for the sake of this award show, we're also using it for original gladiator. But when we're talking about an original gangsta, the original gangsta is the one who is just the epitome of everything. Okay, the OG is the reference point. Okay, the OG is the person who we talk about for the next 50,000 years because they set the standard. Okay, they're the benchmark. LBJ, they are the one by whom all other gangsters are measured. Okay, so that's what we're talking about when we talk about an OG. We all know OGs. Okay, we have OGs in our family. Okay, all right. My uncle Lawrence, that was the OG. Okay, rest in peace. Okay, but see, people who are laying it down in a way that you constantly reference them throughout the rest of history for all eternity. So LBJ, how else would you describe an OG? LBJ.
Sorry, I'm here. I had to switch locations. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
So I
An
totally agree.
original gangsta, LBJ.
Yes,
What
I
is it?
totally agree. I totally agree with your explanation of an OG. I would also like to add to the conversation that we have to think in the terms of this awards program. The original an OG, the OG really to me is the original gladiator. And if you're going to be the original gladiator,
Mm,
you've got to be out there gladiating. And let me say this. Harrison is the original gladiator to me.
oh, okay.
And
All
I
right.
will say that my vote initially was for Gabby Abby Red because she made it to the end. Gabby Abby Red was in season 1, episode 1, and she was in season 7, episode 18. Here's my vote for Harrison, and I'm you all kind of helped me change this vote. Whomever it was that said Harrison recruited Quinn, he ran point on that. Whomever brought
Yeah,
forth that
he
he was the
really
one that
did.
used Gabby Abby Red's husband when Olivia told, he ran point on that. He was
Yeah,
the heir apparent to OPA. He was
it's
the heir
true.
apparent. And
It's
Lord,
true.
when when they had to fire him from the show, when he let the white powder just take his life in a different direction, and it started to affect his work in real life, and they had to say, Harrison has to die, then I was just like, this is
Yeah.
terrible because
Oh,
he was the heir apparent. And you all remember I was broke down during that episode. I was totally broke down.
that was very hard for you, LBJ. You really dealt with that for a long time.
No, it made me feel the feelings. Like every time I hear Aretha Franklin sing, "Don't trouble the waters," I'm like, and this is Harrison's funeral song. Like it
Oh,
takes me back like
no
it's real
way.
life. Like I went to a family member's funeral, and this is the song singing at the funeral, and this is the song at the moment that broke me down. The way Olivia Pope cried, that was not Olivia Pope crying. That was Kerry Washington crying for Columbus Short. I kid you not. Like those people loved him, and he
Mm-hmm.
loved them. They tried their best to really stick through with it with Columbus Short as Harrison, but it did not work out. And so I think that they gave him a wonderful farewell tribute. And lest we forget, season 7, episode 17, in the montage, there was a picture of all of the OGs that flashed in the montage. Steven was there and Harrison was there. And I said, what a great way to include them as the show closes out. To me, Harrison had
Yes.
way more gumption and go over Gabby Abby Red. Gabby Abby Red just started getting it when she's got into the White House, and Olivia was hazing her into really like getting that bulldogness that she needed, that she lacked, that Harrison had. Steven was just a
Yeah.
clean guy. Like you weren't going to see him sweat. He had his little accent, and he was affluent, or he had access to the affluency, and he was in it, as Olivia's right hand. Harrison was the one to make it happen. He was the executioner. My vote goes for Harrison. How about you?
Oh, LBJ, this one is hard. And I think I'm once again in a situation over here where I think the chat is swaying me in the same way. Because LBJ, walking into this, it was very clear to me that it was Gabby Abby Red. Because one thing about original gangsters is that they don't die. Like these are people who just
They're like Bebe's kids. We don't die, we multiply. We Bebe's kids.
LBJ, they're bulletproof. It's like, why is the OG still alive? No one knows. That's why they're the OG. And LBJ, for that reason, okay, I was originally thinking Gabby Abby Red, but I feel like the chat, as you said, we've had some really good points thrown out. And if if Columbus Short had not ended that character's life, by being outside of the show, not playing by Shonda's rules, I think you're right. I think he would have been the one to continue the dynasty. And so I just thank you, chat, for helping us to see this through. And Candace Brown is weighing in. Harrison, period. I'm convinced. I'm with you, Candace. My vote is also going to Harrison. And LBJ, I'm looking at the chat, and I think there are a lot of people. Some people are throwing out other characters that could have been in there, like Hut. Where's Hut?
Hut.
Well, it's Hut.
Yeah. Well, nah. Remember, okay. Here's the thing.
He appears later. He appears later in the award show.
We do have Huck as a candidate. He's a candidate. He's a nominee. But let me say this about Huck, guys. Huck was B613. Olivia cultivated, she curated the gladiators of OPA. Huck was B613 before he was a gladiator. And so to me, Huck stands in the honorable mention category. Like, we appreciate you for your work and your 752-ness, but you, sir, you're not a founder. You're not an original. Like, you're not a charter member of the line of Olivia Pope and Associates Alpha Chapter, okay? You're just not.
Right. And LBJ, people are knocking down some of these other characters. Kelly's talking about that Abby had to be convinced to make that move, not her temperament, and people are talking about just the rapport that Harrison and Olivia had. Okay. PG is saying Harrison never left Olivia. He started the words gladiator in a suit. Hello.
He sure did, yeah.
Rakira's like, Olivia didn't even have to give Harrison an explanation. Okay, so, oh my gosh, Rakira throws out the other example. Harrison broke up Abby and David without even knowing why, because he was committed. Yep. He was committed to Olivia. LBJ, I think the chat has spoken.
Harrison wins. Harrison wins. Congratulations, and the award goes to Harrison. Yes. Harrison Wright. Now, are you in relation to Harrison, Janaya?
Actually, yes, he is my third cousin. Okay. Now we don't.
Well, why didn't your family take him in? Why did he grow up in group homes and things like that when you all could have been taking him in on the main streets of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, huh?
Well, we didn't discover our link to him until we did one of those DNA. So we did the DNA test. And so we didn't know.
I love it.
Like many Black Americans, we don't know, the lineage. Okay. We did the DNA test. Okay. We started digging in. By then it was too late. But R.I.P. Harrison, cousin. R.I.P. cuz. C-U-Z. R.I.P. cuz.
Yeah. R.I.P. to my C-U-Z. But let me ask, Janaya, when you got your DNA results back, did it say that you were a citizen of Wakanda?
LBJ, not only are we citizens in Wakanda, my family, we are those people that were like standing on the mountain because they had like royalty, like responsibilities and leadership roles. That was us. That was us, LBJ. We were on the wall of majesty.
I love it. Whatever
that wall was called.
But you know what this next wall is called? This next wall comes in the form of our next category. Can you all guess what the next category is? No, you can't guess what the next category is because you don't know what it is. But I'm going to show you, and Janaya will take it away. Our next category is something that I would like to just give the intro, and then you could name the nominees. But our next category is our best lover of liberty. Prepare to make your votes. You'll see the nominees on the screen. You can vote in the live chat. Our nominees are whom, Janaya?
LBJ, the nominees are number 1, Sally Langston. We need sound effects.
Yes. Woo! Yeah. Liberty lovers, love the liberty.
Number 2, Cyrus Bean.
All right.
Oh, okay. Actually, David Rosen. Second. Sorry. Yes. David Rosen. Okay. Number 3, Cyrus Bean.
Woo! Boo.
Number 4, Verna Thornton.
Verna, smother, Verna.
Number 5 is Francisco Vargas. Woo! And our 6th and final nominee for the category of Best Lover of Liberty is none other than Lonnie Mencken. Woo! LBJ, this category is tough. I gotta say.
Lonnie Lincoln. Lonnie Mencken. All right, here we go.
That's right.
So we have our nominees. And the chat is now voting, and I will start off with the votes. Beelan Smith kicks us off. She's saying Sally, Cassie, Sally, Linda, Sally, Diane Jones, Sally, Mrs. Creel Davis, Sally. PG says David was the law, and the law was him. Come on, PG. All right. Kira, Ty, Frankie, and Dave. You notice that they both died. They did both die. Then we have here. Sorry, we have Max P. Well. Max P. Well, what's up? Sally as Max P. Well's vote. Still mad at Cyrus. Sally, for me, nobody cares about Cyrus. Davis. Pat Weatherspoon says
Nobody.
David
Not
T.
one person.
Wilson. Says Vargas. First vote for Vargas. We've got the very sanctimonious. So yes, come on, sanctimonious Sally Langston.
Sanctimonious SAT
Michelle
word. That's
says
right.
Sally killed for liberty. Tashelle, why are you in my head? Are you Tashala? But you're calling yourself Tashelle? People of Wakanda gather round. Tashala is among us. We have callbacks. We're going with David Rosen. Sally said the words when David lived the life. Tried to anyway. Rest in peace. Oh, David. Then we were curious of Sally, a murdering hypocrite. What's the criteria? One for all. The criteria is whomever you think is the best lover of liberty. This is your vote. There is no criteria. You make up the criteria. You can provide an explanation in your vote if you'd like. Somebody said not Lonnie Love. The Rio. Lonnie Love. I'm Lonnie Love. I'm a
LBJ, shame on you.
Sorry. I shouldn't be doing that. Sorry.
That was
Little shade. Okay, here we go.
shame.
Lorraine Carter, love of liberty, is Lonnie because he shot himself to make sure. Ooh, Lorraine, yeah, he shot himself to make sure of the investigation. Nolan says that's a good point, Lorraine. David sent Liv the white hat. They both died for the liberty of the Republic. Yes, I'm like Verna. She's an OG. Verna should have been an OG. The purest of the group is Vargas. Sally called herself a lover of liberty, but she was the fake news. Oh, this thing is over Sally's head. Lover of liberty till the very end. All right. So the votes from the people seem as if Sally Langston is the winner of the popular vote. Janaya, to whom are you going to cast your vote? For whom will you cast your vote?
LBJ, this is challenging for me here. So let's just spend a few minutes digging in on what qualifies a lover of liberty. Now, every single character on this show felt like whatever it is they were doing was for some higher reason. We had a couple of characters that were blatantly selfish, okay, and had an agenda all their own. Hollis Doyle, okay. But for the most part, LBJ, the primary characters on the show, they were people who really felt like whatever it is they were doing it on behalf of the Republic. And they felt quite strongly that what they were doing was the right thing to do for America and for the world, even if it meant killing a friend, okay? Robbing someone of something, really, just manipulating the truth, okay? But no matter what they were doing, they felt like they were doing it on behalf of the Republic because they love the liberty, okay? So this lover of liberty thing, this is deep, LBJ, because now we're getting into the psychology of these characters. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking beyond their behavior, LBJ. Okay?
Are you going to say, are we going to agree on a character? Oh my God.
You know what? I don't know because, and this is again, we did not go through this award show together at all. Okay. So LBJ and I have not mediated on any of this. Okay. So we don't know who is going to vote for what. So we'll see. But LBJ, when I look at these 6 characters, okay, and I think about their ultimate psychology, I think the person that I'm going to have, oh my gosh, this is hard. LBJ, I am going to throw my hat in for Francisco Vargas.
What?
Now,
what?
Now, here's why. Okay, here's why. Francisco Vargas had been a lover of liberty, okay, and he had been a politician, LBJ, and he had managed LBJ not to forsake his values and what was really important to him. He had opportunities right before our eyes, LBJ, to take on, partnerships that would not have been, virtuous. Okay. But Francisco Vargas, LBJ, he loved liberty so much. Okay. And it is crazy because it essentially was other lovers of liberty, again, in service of the Republic. So they thought in their twisted minds that ended up taking his life. And that's a hashtag doggone shame. Is that a hashtag people use? Hashtag doggone shame, LBJ. That the lovers of liberty took his life. I'm voting for Francisco Vargas. Love
I'm
you,
very
Francisco.
surprised
Rest
by
in
that
peace.
vote. That
Rest in
man,
peace.
may he rest in peace. Listen, that character had what, like 4 or 5 episodes with us. I'm so
But he was
shocked.
virtuous. But he was virtuous,
And
LBJ.
see,
He
I
was
can one up.
virtuous.
Let me one up his virtue, in so much by presenting my vote for the best lover of liberty, David Rosen.
Okay.
David Rosen.
Spell it out for us, LBJ. What are you
Let me tell
thinking?
you,
What's in the
David
noodle?
Rosen, season 1, episode 1, was that person who was tempo on the show. He was the metronome.
Mm.
You know, he came in. He
Oh,
came in
that's
for all you
good.
music lovers. He was for those of you who studied music. He was the metronome. You set the measure, and he kept that tempo every single episode. He was a constant, even when he was off. His metronome, his rhythm, his tempo, it was still on beat. He never lost his tempo. David Rosen did up until the very end. David Rosen would come in even before he was the attorney general, and he tried his hand at the different things. He was just an attorney at a firm. Then he moved into being before he was a AG, he was a gladiator for a little while. Remember, he dabbled in the wearing the white hat, virtue on top of virtue. His slate was clean, and I cannot believe I'm still snapping my finger while I'm talking about this. My
You
finger's
are.
getting tired.
You're still
Listen, I'm going to move to the next finger.
being a
So,
metronome.
yes, David Rosen, after moving from being a gladiator for a little while, he actually kind of gladiated as he became AG. Once he was AG, he kept what? What are you about to say?
And I just wanted to tell you that I think we all pretty much get the metronome thing. So I don't know if you have to keep clapping. I mean, it's up to you. Because again, we love liberty as well. It's a free country. But I just wanted to recommend to you that I just wanted to just confirm for you that
I can
we
stop.
get it.
Yes, people get it. Yes. And I won't have hand muscle spasms. I don't want muscle spasms in my head. So
please continue.
So David Rosen, after becoming AG, still maintained his virtue. He maintained his honor. He maintained his oath, and he served the people. He served the Republic up until the very end. Now, let me submit to you, the audience of this. Vinyl Poet Classics, the Attorney General of the damn United States. Yes, exactly. So I think that we have to pay homage to the one who coined the phrase, the television show, The Liberty Report, Sally Langston, and all of her messiness. Sally Langston is my honorable mention for this award. Sally Langston provided so much relief for us as it related to the darkness that the people in Washington on Scandal possessed. And Sally Langston was so dark that she murdered her husband and said, "The devil made me do it." and then after the devil made her do it, she got a television show.
Yes, she
did. And she sat there behind the desk of this television show week after week, telling and spilling the stories of all the drama going on inside the Beltway, and got off scot-free with killing her husband.
Yeah, so can't argue with that.
Essentially is the lover of liberty that we see behind the scenes working on Scandal. Those who love the Republic, the B613 of it all, the ones who will do anything. To me, neck and neck with her is Cyrus Bean, another murderer, another one who is able to go and do various things for the Republic. He is a lover of that type of liberty. But for the sake of the liberty that I'm subscribing to for this award show, my vote goes to David Rosen. David Rosen gets the award from me. I'm very proud of David Rosen up until the very end, standing up to Jake the Snake, Jake from State Farm, Jake, the one who stood up and said, David, the one who stood up to Jake and said, "If you're going to shoot me, hey man, if you're going to shoot me, shoot me. Do it. You're not going to. I'm not going to be a coward and walk away, and then you be the coward and shoot me as I run away from you. No, you've done that already. Do it head on this time." And he was so powerful. He was so virtuous. Is there a virtuous one among us? Yes. His name is David Rosen. He was so virtuous that he got in the face of Jake. B613 Jake, who was the son of Papa Pope, Jake, the one who stood in the light with Olivia, Jake, the one who was double-minded in all his ways, Jake, the one who was ultimately second fiddle, Jake, the one who rests behind bars in the federal prison for the rest of his days. He stood
Oh
there and
my
he said,
gosh.
"Take me down." And Jake
Yep.
didn't take him down. And he walked away scot-free and went back home to his girl. Was like, "Can you believe it? I made it out alive." So congratulations from me to David Rosen for winning that award.
Oh my gosh, LBJ, you know what? I have to say the chat is really calling out some characters that should have made it into this nomination
So
category.
honorable mentions, call them out.
Oh my gosh. LBJ, Susan Ross. Come on,
Ah,
duh. Thank you so much because LBJ, I mean, Grace is like saying Frankie and Susan Ross are the only unsullied politicos on Scandal. I mean, LBJ, how could we forget Susan Ross? Okay. And it was
poor
Miss
Susan
L
Ross
saying,
though.
hold
Like,
on, hold on. It was Miss L who introduced Susan Ross. Hold on, hold on. If that's our thought process, can we submit a vote in right for Susan Ross? LBJ, we got to talk this through. We got to talk this through because Susan Ross, LBJ, what about Susan?
I was in love with Susan Ross. Oh my gosh,
The
it's Susan
worst.
Ross. Like, I'm Susan Ross. Oh my god, I'm a single mother and I'm running for office. I cannot believe, like, how did I end up running for office? Like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm Susan Ross. Like, she was the Teddy Ruxpin. She was the gummy bear. She was bouncing here and there and everywhere with me on this show, and I loved Susan Ross. Is she a lover of liberty? Yes. Is she the best lover of liberty? She is not the best lover of liberty. But I do appreciate you for bringing Susan Ross up, because how could we not close out? How could we close out a recap without a mention of Susan Ross? Bravo to the character Susan Ross.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How could we forget to put her on here?
And remember, Susan Ross had a real grand moment when she stood in her Susan Ross nest that they equipped her to tap into and live. And that is what gave her the courage to walk away from it all.
That's
so, yes,
right.
Congratulations, Susan Ross, for being added to this conversation.
Absolutely. And LBJ, there is some really solid rap for Susan. PG is calling out that no one except Susan is cleaner than Marcus. Rachel Minka is real. I mean, Rachel Minka is making some good points here. Susan Ross stood up for justice from all cylinders. Does anyone remember the time she held up the votes because she hadn't fully read the bill?
Yo, yes.
Oh my gosh. And then Mrs. Creole Davis said we thought Susan was a dummy, but she was a gangster. Yeah, she was, LBJ. She was. I'm sorry, LBJ. I don't know. This is quite a write-in vote.
See, I can't go back into the ballot box and change my vote because I cast it already and I pushed the vote button. But Susan Ross is a really, really, really great character.
Okay.
After we did this whole segment over again, I want to say my vote's for Susan Ross based off the chat. But the chat still hasn't swayed. The popular vote is still for Sally Langston in the popular vote.
I think you're right, LBJ. I mean, this Susan, I just wish we had put Susan here, LBJ, because honestly, I would recast my vote as well. I mean, at the end of the day, Susan, she left the show on top, LBJ.
She did.
She left the show. I mean, and they didn't even kill her. Frankie got. Okay. But Susan got out of there. Okay. Mm-hmm. That also makes her an OG. So anyway.
Yeah. If we're looking at original gangsta, it does. In fact, it puts her in a whole new category of OG.
Okay. So everyone, honorable mention. But who was the winner of the category, LBJ?
So the people's choice of the people's vote goes to Sally Langston.
Woo!
All right, folks. So our next category, we're going to move over to our next category. Are y'all ready for this one? Are you ready for this next category?
We're ready.
I don't know. Am I ready for the next category? I don't even know. I'm ready for this next category now that I have the slide ready. So
let's do it.
This next category, I feel very special and partial to this category because I actually created this particular phrase while watching the show. And many of you who have been with us from the beginning, or if you just joined, you will always hear at some moment, if not every episode that we do, every other episode that we do, because I believe that this is a particular nuance that exists in the storylines. And it's something that I like to call the nectar factor. You all know I love talking about the nectar factor.
It's real.
The nectar is real. Yes, the nectar is real, Janaya. And with this nectar, we have to go to this next category with these nominees here. Voters, get your clickers ready to cast your votes. We need explanations with these votes, okay?
Yes. Tashelle knew you were going to say nectar, by the way.
Oh, yes, you know it. Don't know. I created the nectar factor, okay? It exists. That lip quiver Olivia Pope felt, the way that Fitz would snatch Olivia into a broom closet, the way that Cyrus would ravish his men. Oh, there is a factor of nectar that exists. All you need to do is find a tree, get a spigot, and connect it, and the nectar can begin to flow on Scandal.
That's right.
Today we present to you our nominees for the most nectar encrusted. Janaya, please present the nominees to the people.
LBJ, nominees for most nectar encrusted are number 1, Fitzgerald Grant. Woo! Number 2, our very own Marcus. Number 3, Melody Grant.
Nectar Melly.
LBJ number 4, Fenton Glockland. Whoa!
Uncle Daddy.
Number 5, President Rashad. Listen, it's encrusted, LBJ, all over.
Hashtag Janaya's apartment needs cleaning.
LBJ, we almost had a category called most nectar inspiring. Okay. And he would have been the winner. Hashtag winner. Okay.
He's a winner.
And then LBJ, our last nominee for this category is Andrew Nichols, LBJ. Now, let's go to the chat. Who is the most nectar encrusted? Now, LBJ, you defined nectar for us very clearly. Okay?
Very clearly.
Very clearly, LBJ. But let's talk about what it means to be nectar encrusted. Okay? Because for something to become crust, it's got to sit there a while. Okay?
Like a raisin in the sun, huh? Does it crust over like a syrupy sweet? You weren't ready for that one.
It's so good. LBJ, it crusts over like a raisin in the sun. It dries out. LBJ, for something to be encrusted, okay, this has got to be a buildup over time. Okay, it has to be unresolved. Okay, because if it's resolved, then it didn't crust over. Someone managed it. Something happened with it. But if it's just there, crusting over, LBJ, it's unresolved. Okay, so as we are considering these candidates, Fitz, Marcus, Melly, Fenton, President Rashad, Andrew Nichols, who is nectar encrusted? Clearly, they all were involved in nectar-related foolishness, okay? But who is encrusted with nectar, LBJ? What does the chat say?
Here we go. So in the chat, we have, the chat is leaning heavy. So we have Nectar Olivia, who wasn't mentioned, but we will take that vote. Melly, Fitz. Somebody said, is that Uncle Daddy? Nola Brooks, yes, that's Uncle Daddy. Rachel Minka. Rachel, what's up? Thanks for joining us. Fitz is from Rachel Minka. Tashelle, Fitz, he lost a child, killed a Supreme Court judge, and went to war. Rakira, the most potent nectar is Olivia and Cyrus. For potent nectar. PG does in all caps. Fitzgerald Thomas Grant, the second. No words necessary. Linda Gaston, Fitz. Linda Gaston said, right, PG. All 3 names plus the suffix. We also have Ms. Creel Davis. We had different forms of nectar. Some of the nectar was vinegarous. Mrs. Creel Davis, I need an explanation. One for All says the one and only Fitz. OP juice dripping all over him for 7 seasons. Deborah Battle, Fitz did everything for the nectar. Lorraine Carter, Fitz, hands down. He could break Olivia down with a look. Vinyl Poet says, Fitz, because of the iconic take off your clothes, the nectar was so good that he went to war for it. He divorced his wife for it. He almost gave up the presidency for the juice.
Have to pause at the take off. We have to pause and have just a second of silence for to take off your clothesline. It was so good. It was so good. That would have had him in the category for nectar inspiring for sure. Now, President Rashad still would have won that category. Okay. But LBJ, I wish I had my glasses on because sometimes I use my glasses as a prop and I would put them on the end of I would put them on the end of my nose right now, LBJ, for emphasis, and say that when he said that line right there, okay, when he was talking about take your clothes off, he was ready to get to work. LBJ, I think nectar flowed all throughout the land. Okay.
Listen,
all throughout the land.
And speaking of all throughout the land, Lorraine Carter says, I am still taking off my clothes over that TikTok.
So good. And
then Vinyl Poet Classic says, Lorraine, who can blame you? I am a guy, and that still sends chills down my spine.
Yes, it's so good.
Then One for All says, with a new category, it must be Melly. Grace says, Marcus. I would say, then Ms. Davis said, Jake had some good nectar.
Yes, he did.
Then we also, Max P. Wells says, Deaf Olivia, she shared her nectar. Then Rakira into a baby, we can be together spouting fool. Oh, no, she says, and Cyrus got all them young boys turning them out. Cyrus turned out good time, a pure B613 into a baby, we can be together spouting fool. Rakira, that was so good because he did. He turned him out.
It's so good.
He was tweaking like Cyrus. I got some more of that Cyrus. I need some more of that Cyrus. Cyrus had nectar from an oak that had many rings. You know how you can tell the age of the tree when you look inside the rings? Cyrus has many, many rings, and that's all kinds of experience for those young men. Tashelle said we need an usher in the house. Listen, so the vote is clear. You all are voting for Fitzgerald Thomas Grant II as your vote for the most nectar encrusted. Now, I would say
that vote. Yeah, I get it.
You get it. I get it too. And you all know that I was against the whole Fitz Olivia love. The whole, I was against Olivia being the side piece and her getting all this love. Yes. Furthermore, I was against all of your cousins all of you here in this conversation and all of your cousins online going ham on the fact that this woman was a side piece to this man. Like,
yeah, that's so cool.
Like y'all, and y'all were celebrating every week. Oh, Litz, ooh, Olivia and Fitz. I'm like, hello, he's married. Hello, he's married. Right. He's married. Like, come on. Oh, Vinyl Poet Classic says, what about Huck and Finn? I mean, Huck and Finn. No, not Huckleberry Finn. Huck and Quinn banging in the parking lot and face licking. Now that I would say is the most nectar encrusted moment. Okay, that has to have been the most nectar encrusted moment because that was deviant. That was like some kind of deviant rage that they had, and it was like mania, like crazy deviant. And that gets an honorable mention. I will have to say though, my strong honorable mention beside President Bashran, the Bashrani president, besides Cyrus turning little boys out. And let me not say little boys, turning the young boys out.
That's right.
I would have to say that Marcus definitely has been getting it in. Like we met Marcus in my favorite episode of Scandal, the lawn chair episode. Yes. And this man was an activist going to bat for a young man that was shot by the police. And this father, he was advocating for the rights of the father, played by Courtney B. Vance, and for the community. There was so much social commentary interwoven into that script for our first time meeting Marcus Walker on this show. But the second time we got a chance to see Marcus Walker was making nectar. He was making nectar candy with another man's wife. Now, can we take a moment and look at how they wrote this entire thing up? We see Fitz, a non-man of color, sleeping with a woman of color as his side piece. And then you turn to Marcus Walker, who is sleeping with a non-woman of color, married, and he is a side piece. Let's juxtapose that for a little while. And I'll allow you all to wax poetic in the chat while I take a moment. But you all did not have the same reaction. Right now. You all did not have the same reaction when Marcus was in bed with those women who were that woman who was married that you had with Olivia, with that man who was married. Why is it Why is it, and I'm going off script here because this
Do
is
it.
something that I've observed in the show, and since the show is over, I can finally do it. This is the recap, right? Not a
That's
typo.
right.
And you all had so many issues with Marcus liking a woman, a non-woman of color on that show. He was with Melly, he was with that other married woman, and then Olivia was with this Caucasian man who was married, and y'all were litzing it up all day long. I mean, that hashtag used to trend. So please tell me why, oh why, y'all had a, was it that you wanted Marcus and Marcus didn't want you? Huh? Is that why? Let me know. Somebody tell me something in the chat. That's all I want to know. So Marcus gets my honorable mention for most nectar encrusted because he was laying it low and spreading it wide, not just with, but I did love it when he got with Michaela on the crossover
Yes.
episode. Y'all were like, oh, Marcus and Michaela. They're gonna have Marcus and Michaela babies, Wakanda babies. People of Wakanda gather around. We have a gladiator attorney baby, Esquire. You're like, y'all were ready for Marcus and Michaela, but you didn't want Marcus and Melly. I was here for Marcus and Melly. That's all I've got to say there. Janaya, thoughts?
LBJ, I have so many thoughts, but I have to call out. It's LBJ, this chat is so funny right now. I just want to read the whole thing. But LBJ, there is one thing we do have to call out from the chat. And let me just say, Rachel Minka, you're on it right now. And clearly you should have been consulted before we even got to these nominees because you're just like,
oh, Rachel, that's a good one. Yes.
And so Rachel Minka said, anyone remember Russell as a nominee? He got so much more nectar than Marcus and Melly. Who was Russell, everybody? It was actually Franklin Russell. Okay. And
Wait,
he
you
was
saying his name all wrong. His name is Russell. You can't say that Russell. It's Russell. Russell.
Yeah. Yeah. And he ended up he got by Jake. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
But he was a B613 agent and he was a love interest for Olivia and she got hoodwinked by him, etc., etc. But LBJ, you want to talk about nectar? Okay. Not only was nectar encrusted uponst him, okay, nectar took him out of here. Okay. Oh my gosh.
That's good.
Clearly, he should have been a nominee here. He gets an honorable mention as well.
That's a great honorable mention.
LBJ, I'm going to give my vote. And you know what? I feel like I'm voting for these underdogs here today. I don't mean to, but this is what this.
Oh my gosh. Do you have your special tea set in your apartment? Like, seriously? You're about to go there. I know you're going to go there.
I have to vote with my heart, LBJ. And for me, my heart is saying that the most nectar encrusted character in these 6 nominees is actually, for me, it's Fenton Glockland. Now, why is Fenton nectar encrusted? Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay. Because LBJ, out of all of these characters, he is the one because of the way that Nectar played out with the other nominees, okay, in terms of us being suspicious of their motives, them getting entangled with people who are already in other relationships, them using Nectar to manipulate, kill, steal, and destroy, okay? Because of all of their shenanigans, when Fenton came into the picture, we did not trust him. We didn't trust him at all. LBJ, I was the main one saying, what is Fenton up to? Who is Fenton working for? What is Fenton about to be doing? LBJ, guess what the answer was? Fenton wanted him some Cyrus. That turned out to be it. He didn't have like some whole other agenda that he was leveraging Nectar to play out, and he was doing it old school, LBJ. He was giving gifts, taking Cyrus out on dates, okay, offering professional advice, okay. That's courting, LBJ. And to me, poor Fenton, he, like so many of us, he fell in love with a player, okay. And who was Cyrus playing him with? Cyrus was playing him with the Republic, LBJ. The Republic was Cyrus's mistress, okay? Lover of liberty. And poor Fenton, he couldn't hang. He says, you know what? I see you got that side piece over there. And I see Lady Liberty is mad present with you. And I cannot hang. And LBJ, he got out of there. He got out of there. And so why is his nectar encrusted? Because it is unresolved. Okay. So that's my vote. I realize I lost, but I'm throwing my hat in for Fenton. Woo!
Fenton, Uncle Daddy Glock. But let me say this thing about Fenton. I love that you brought up that this man was courting Cyrus. He did.
Yes, he was.
He was laying it down like Big Daddy Warbucks, okay? Like, and Cyrus wasn't even smitten by the stuff. Like, Cyrus had to actually stop and like pause and say, "Wait, is he? How much is that worth?
Right?
Is he really laying it down like that? Like." And they hadn't even like smashed. Like they weren't even. Like, it was just this was off of pure feeling. Like this was wow. That's great, Janai. I never thought about that because I was gonna say my ultimate vote went to Fitz because just off of the strength of take off your clothes. And someone tweeted it was Kerry Washington or Shonda Rhimes or someone from the Scandal Writers Room said that we're now all standing in the room naked. After he said that, because that's how they all reacted. When he said that, like. I thought to myself, gosh, like the resonance that came through, and I wanted to adjust the audio for that line because there was resonance in that line that translated across the screen. And then the reaction all of you had Thursday when we were conversing. I mean, from even my mother talking about like close your eyes, like she felt the feels during that. You felt the feels. Candace, like y'all felt the feels about take off your clothes. Well, clearly he wins the Nectar Award because all of the world has nectar that's flowing on the strength of this man saying take off your clothes. So I think that the People's Choice Award goes to
it was Fitz.
It was Fitz, yes. It goes to Fitz.
It was Fitz. But boy, LBJ, that's a fun category. I mean, frankly, we could have did a whole show on just who was the most encrusted with nectar. This could have been the Nectar Awards, LBJ, because we could have like 10 subcategories under nectar.
We really could. We really, really could. And
actually, I was just gonna say, LBJ, our next category
is exactly we were thinking the same thing.
It is nectar related.
It's a subset of nectar. Yes, exactly.
That's right.
It's a subset of nectar. So without any further ado, let's go to our next category. Our next category has several nominees. For those of you wondering if it's going to be a category where there's just one person that's named as a nominee here. So let's prepare to go to this next category.
Ready? Yep. Let's do it.
Please be prepared to share the names with the individuals, and the individuals whom we will share include the category, our winners in the category, nominees in the category of the wackest love interest. Let's go to the wackest love interest, Shania. Who are the nominees here?
Yeah, we have 6 nominees for wackest love interest, LBJ. The first is James Novak, love interest of Cyrus Bean, okay, husband, okay. Vanessa Ballard, who was love interest of who? Jake Ballard and others. Wait, Jake Ballard, etc. Okay. Yes. And then we have Michael Ambrosio, who was a love interest of Cyrus Bean, and he gets a big old etc. Okay. Luna Vargas, who was a love interest of the president for 10 minutes, Vargas, okay. Edison Davis, who was a love interest of Olivia Pope, and Leo Bergen, who was a love interest of Gabby Abbey Red. These are our nominees, LBJ, for wackest love interest.
All right, folks in the chat, you see who the nominees are. Take this moment to cast your votes. We're gonna go to the chat right now to see who you all voted for this particular category, and we are going to kick off right now. In the chat, let me scroll down. Okay, wait, to answer your question, Black Girl Magic Replies Data Society. Okay, I'll go back to that, Rachel. I see your comment. Okay, are y'all voting for wackest love interest, or are they too whack for you to vote? Like, what's going on?
They're voting now, BJ.
Here we go. Okay, I see it now. So now we have, I see, no, Fenton was the last one. So we've got, oh, here we go. Okay, so Kelly, yes, Kelly is first out the gate. No, Grace is with the horns.
Grace is first out the gate.
Nobody cares about
Vanessa. Yes. No one.
Kelly says nobody cares about Vanessa, about Vanessa. Now, if you all don't know about Nobody Cares About Vanessa, we had sound effects. And when I say we, this platform that we use had sound effects built into the platform. You could push buttons and create all different sound effects, and we used to use them. We used to use doorbells to fact check each other. It was amazing, and one of the best sound effects we had were sad trombones. With the sad trombones, we would use those to our advantage, especially when it came to talking about Vanessa, because she was a non-factor. Vanessa's life did not matter to us, unlike Black lives. And so whenever we would talk about Vanessa, we'd always play the sad trombone and end with, nobody cares about Vanessa. So Cassie Play says Luna Vargas. Coffee Light and Sweet says Vanessa. Linda Gaston, Tom and Cyrus, yuck.
Kelly is saying nobody cares about Vanessa.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Then Rakira says, how can you not have Lizzie Bear? Patricia Weatherspoon, Vanessa, Edison, and Olivia, says Linda Gaston. Nobody cares, including Jake, about Vanessa. That was good, PG. Wait, where's Angela, aka Olivia Light? We forgot about Angela.
How did we forget? I will tell you, everybody, Lizzie Bear is up for another award. So we didn't forget Lizzie Bear.
Lizzie Bear is in this deck.
Angela,
who had her entire family sitting around every episode, and she couldn't even tell them how many episodes she probably was in. But she was sitting around all those different episodes, and they're like, oh, here she comes. Here come Keisha, y'all. Here come Keisha on Scandal tonight. And she was hard. She was riding hard. Angela Webster,
everyone. She is an honorable mention. Angela Webster was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And who had smeared nectar all over her face, LBJ? Can anyone remember?
Mr. Take Off Your Clothes himself.
It was Fitz. LBJ was using her as a proxy. And we all saw it, and so did she. How could we forget her? Okay.
And then Lorraine says, Edison, really, was he going to was he going to do Olivia? Fell asleep watching him trying to get back with her. Then we have Wacker's love interest.
He was so boring.
Yes, Rachel says nobody cares about Vanessa. Why you say? Because nobody cares. Then we have Vinyl Poet Classic says the very dead Vanessa. We also have, drumroll please, Vanessa. T. Wilson says Edison. Rakira, nobody cares about Vanessa. Veronica, Vanessa. The whole marriage between Jake and Vanessa was whacked. Shell, Miss L says Angela. Then what about Cyrus? Wait, look. What about Cyrus's whore and put a ring on it? I like whore. Cyrus's whore. Yes, remember Cyrus had a whore. We called him B School Mike. You remember B School Mike?
Oh my gosh.
Here's a write-in. Tom with Cyrus. Then Jake killed her daddy and her. Who cares about Vanessa, says Diane Jones. My wife Candace says the horrible girl who was Fitz's love interest after Olivia. Yes, that's Olivia Light. That was Angela, babe.
Oh, she was so horrible.
Coastal O says nobody cares about Angela. Poor Angela. Yes. Angela gets the honorable mention for me because she was going hard and she thought that she had a chance. You ain't cuter than Beyonce, okay? Olivia Pope is the Beyonce of this show, and you were not cuter than Beyonce, Angela.
It's so hard to be Kelly Rowland, but LBJ.
Oh, tonight.
It's so hard because Kelly is very talented in her own right, very attractive. Okay, she shared with the world when she got a boob job. There's a lot to celebrate with Kelly Rowland. Okay, but where does she sit? Lost in the shadows. And
guess where this character sits? And guess where this character sits? Kelly brings up an amazing one. Kelly says, what about the dinosaur lady who was reminiscing on her love with Rowan? Listen!
How could we forget Sandra Titi?
Sandra Titi, Tootin' Sandra. Tootin' Sandra. Dead Sandra, shot in the middle of the head, Sandra. Okay?
Yeah, we messed up. How could we forget
No, but this is the beauty of this conversation because you all always added something to the conversation that we weren't thinking about. Yes. Remember, we have lives outside of this, and so there's no producer. Like, this is the most production we've ever had, thanks to Janiyah on a weekend. Like, come on. Like, who forgot about Sandra Titi? Oh my gosh! I think she is neck and neck with Angela because she thought that she was gonna come back. And ma'am, you did a dig with that man and brushed off some bones with a little paintbrush years ago when y'all were in undergrad, preparing to graduate to go to grad school. And you think you're going to come back and get in this man's life? Do you know he is a GS-15 in the government at the Smithsonian? On top of that, he is the command of B613. He has no interest in you. In fact, he wants your head on a platter. You, ma'am, are here for the kill. You know his kill name, Rowan. Hello. We learned that was, you want my kill name? This is what he said last week.
That's right.
You had this man's kill name, Sandra Titi, Tootin' Sandra, and now you are entombed forever in the Smithsonian or wherever your dead remains may lie. So just as Janiyah said, some people are sitting in the background, she is sitting in somebody's background for sure.
LBJ, wait, I have to go back to Angela really quickly to read what Grace said in the chat. She said, if Liv was Beyonce, Angela was not Kelly. She's Michelle.
I knew that was coming. I wasn't going to say it. I knew that was coming.
Offbeat and falling off the stage.
Y'all are out of control. Y'all are out of control.
Why wasn't she at rehearsal? Why doesn't she know the steps? Go to the left, Michelle. Go to the left. Oh my God. You're right. And LBG, we are so wrong for missing Sandra Titi. Coffee Light and Sweet said Sandra Titi hashtag kiss kiss bang bang.
That was
okay.
Yeah, kiss kiss bang bang. I think that was the episode. Absolutely. Oh,
it's too bad.
It's too bad. But let me tell you what else is too bad. And so I mentioned Beyonce, and I'm going to cast my vote at this moment. Who said it? What did you see?
I'm sorry. There's so many good ones.
It's so
Coffee
good.
Light and Sweet. Coffee Light and Sweets and Sandra is probably still rolled up in plastic in the Smithsonian fridge.
She probably is, and Rowan's at home having Dubélé and pasta with his baby girl.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So I mentioned Beyonce because I was going to segue to my vote. My vote goes for Edison.
Okay.
Edison was about to be. He was about to be Orangeade, on Orangeade album. Jay-Z had the Lemonade album with Beyonce. Olivia Pope would have come out with the Orangeade album for Edison. You know why? Because he let her get away. Edison did not fight for Olivia. He did not realize Olivia was the baddest chick in the game on Scandal.
Yeah,
Edison had a golden opportunity to have Olivia. Olivia had an interest in him, but Edison did not manifest and leverage his power in order to maintain Olivia's attention, thus Fitz stealing the thunder and him cowering and walking away from Olivia. So you will never have the baddest chick in the game wearing your chain, which might be a pocket watch, Mr. Edison. It's not going to be a rock, a Delta symbol on your chest. No, it's going to be a pocket watch, or it might be your bar credentials. Whatever it is, you don't have it because you let Olivia Pope get away. She's the Beyonce of the show. Edison, to me, was the wackest lover on the show. Janiyah, who are you voting?
LBJ, you really just made some good points about Edison's whackness. And I think we can all agree he was extremely whack. Okay? Now, but you know who in my mind, LBJ, was even more whack than Edison? And frankly, to me, so here's my vote. My vote is for Luna Vargas. Okay.
Oh, Luna.
Because what is whacker than having your spouse killed? There's nothing whacker than that. I mean, all of these other characters, we see there are two of the six that died, okay, because of their love interest. We have one that got caught up in the system. We got two that just didn't know what they had and didn't play it right. But Luna Vargas, LBJ, she had in her hands, in her heart, and in her nectar factory, LBJ, she had the most virtuous character in my mind that this show had. And she, out of selfishness, she allowed herself to be manipulated by Cyrus, LBJ, and she had that man killed. Okay, and so that is why Luna Vargas gets my vote for the wackest love interest, because LBJ, that is whack. That is crack whack. Okay,
crack is cheap. I make too much money to smoke crack. We don't do that, Diane. We don't do crack. Crack is whack.
That's right. That's right. Rest in peace, Whitney. Rest in peace.
We love you, Nippy.
That's right. LBJ, who does the chat say for this category? We got to go to the next category.
So the chat for this category, there's a lot of Edison conversation going on right now, probably because I brought Edison up. but many of the folks in the chat were saying from the beginning that it was Vanessa. The People's Choice
Yeah,
Award
it
was
was
going
Vanessa.
to Vanessa for this particular
And
one.
I think it's honorable mention to Sandra TT. I think so. I think it was like Vanessa, and then second runner up was Sandra TT. So,
But and I think if we're gonna include Sandra tonight, you gotta include that neck and neck honorable mention with Angela. That's just right. Angela tried hard. I mean, Angela was like popping that back like Michelle at Coachella, like 1, 2, 1, 1, 2,
yeah,
1, 1, 2. You gotta make it pop, Michelle.
Oh
Oh
God.
gosh. All right, so let's go to
Okay.
our next category. Now, here's a category that will get your wheels going, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And I don't
This
want
is
to
our
project
next to
anything.
last.
But
Next
yes,
to
we are
last
next to last category. Oh, and when we get to the last category,
I
oh
know.
man. Okay, so here we go. So our next category is one that you might love, you may not love. It might make you a little scared. But you be the judge of that, lovers of liberty, lovers of Scandal Recap. So our next category is taking a little bit longer to load, but here it is right here. So we're going to go to the award for the scariest guy. Janiyah, who are our nominees for the scariest guy?
Hey, LBJ, we all can see the guy is in quotes, LBJ, because anybody who is a gladiator, anybody who watches this show knows what we're talking about when we put guy in quotes. Okay, we'll talk more about that. LBJ, our nominees for scariest quote unquote guy are number one, Huck. And in preparing for this show, I realized that Huck is another person who we didn't know his last name, right?
We didn't know.
Number two, Tom Larson. Number three, Quinn, Lindsay, Robin, Perkins, Dwyer. Okay. Number four, Jake Ballard. Number five, Charlie. Number six, Elizabeth Lizzie Bear DeGeneres North. Okay. And I know you're all probably thinking, wow, there's all of those characters are B613s with the exception for one. And you're right. Lizzie Bear DeGeneres is not technically a B613, but her guy was out on many an occasion. Okay. Her guy was mad out, LBJ. Mad out. So, LBJ, take it away.
All right, folks. The folks in the live chat are talking. All of you cast your votes for your nominees. I will begin reading the votes that we have thus far. We kick off with Kelly once again. Huck is first for Kelly. Then we go to Rachel Minka, 752. That's a Huck right there. Patricia Weatherspoon. That's a Huck there. 752, Rachel Minka. Miss L, Huck. Grace, it's Jake. Love Prince Nelson, Quinn. One for all, Jake. Kelly, thought Charlie is a close second. Tishelle, Jake. Cassie Place, Quinn. Lorraine Carter has Huck. Huck scared himself. One for all, Huck softened. T. Wilson said, "What happened to Mama Pope?" Stay tuned. Then we have Vinyl Poet says, "Where the hell is Rowan? He is Olivia's guy, and he created all these guys on the list." You are so right. Stay tuned. Then we have Vinyl Poet says, "Where's Russa?" You can't say Russell, it's Russa. One for all said Charlie softens too. Yes, Charlie softened. Candace says Huck for sure because he has a serious case of PTSD, so he'll let his guy out in an instant. Mrs. Creel Davis says Huck. Veronica knows best says Huck. Jake's guy was just a punk. Jake from Grace. Jake is the scariest. We all know he is Huck, but he can move through society and not stand out. T. Wilson, classiest guy is Mama Pope. Huck was scary, says PG, but he has a heart. Huck has told us his last name many times. Huck has made us cry. Tom killed a kid. Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Then we have Linda Gaston, 752, 752, 752. Huck, when he took Quinn's teeth out. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up with the teeth.
Man, that red toolbox, LBJ.
When that thing came out, it was on and popping, literally.
Yeah.
So the chat is leaning Huck. Huck was Diego Munoz, says to Shell. Hands down, Quinn, Robin, Lindsay. Hey, Ashley B. And thanks for shouting out Quinn, Robin, Lindsay from our Scandal Recap lexicon. You all know that we refer to Quinn as Quinn, Robin, Lindsay on the show. because
That's right.
those are all names that are associated with her as like Gabby, Abby, Red.
Yes.
So the chat is leaning Huck. We also have
Clearly
some
toward
Mama
Huck.
Pope mentions here. Papa Pope mentions Papa Pope being the Geppetto of them all, and all the rest of them were Pinocchios. So yeah, the chat is
Oh,
here.
LBJ, but there's a strong vote for Jake. One for All is saying Jake killed his father-in-law and his wife. Okay, not to mention James.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a strong vote for Jake.
So I
Ugh.
think that. So I'm gonna chime in here, and I think that we love person else said Quinn withstood teeth pulling. Yes, she withstood teeth pulling. I think that I'm not counting the number of kills someone has on here. The Papa
Mm.
Pope's kills trump everyone's kills. They one up. I just said that word. Papa Pope's kills one up all the other kills of the other members of B613. Remember, who was responsible for killing all the B613ers? Jake and Huck.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Remember when they
Yeah.
took down that whole busload full of people?
Oh,
That whole
yeah.
shuttle bus full of people. They took the entire
Mm-hmm.
bus out. B613 was something vicious. I mean, we had some encounters with B613 in these recaps. I mean, Jania's apartment, sound effects, sounds in our homes, like people having issues and attacks in our
Yeah,
while we're live on the air.
LBJ, I have to tell you, B613 in the form of my foot just knocked over a gigantic glass of water all on the floor. As soon as as soon as we got to this look, LBJ, this thing was full.
Oh man, that's the good water too.
It's down to right here. All of this is in a puddle, just so you all know what's happening on this side.
Well, please make sure that you go clean up so that you don't have to electrocute yourself. And I'm like, Janaya, and you're like, zzz, and like you go, we can't have that.
Okay, yes. Anyway, you were saying, LBJ.
Yeah. So, but for me, for this particular category, guys, I'm looking at Huck, I'm looking at Quinn Robin Lindsay, and I'm looking at Lizzie Bear DeGeneres North. Now, let's look at Lizzie Bear DeGeneres North. This woman was going to fight to the death like it was the Hunger Games in Washington, D.C.
Yes,
she was not volunteering as tribute. She was going to make you her tribute by any means necessary. Okay? And I loved her drive so much so that she was willing to make ish happen for Scandal. And I loved this about her character. What I even loved about her character even more is the way that she went out. I know that she went out with the fight. She was probably running her mouth, calling somebody out on some shenanigans. Did we actually see the trigger pulled on her? Or did we walk in and see her dead? I can't remember.
I think we saw her get got. I think the chat has to remind us, but I think we saw her get taken out.
So when she was shot, I feel like she had no clue she was going to be shot, but she had nothing about her that made her care. Like she lived in that moment, and every time she entered a conversation in her head, she heard Mortal Kombat, and she was going to, like in her head, her driving force was the man on Mortal Kombat that said, "Finish him," and she'd be going for the fatality. She would like hold your hand, her heart in your hand, with all of the valves like dangling from the crevices of her hand, while she just ripped your heart out of your chest. So strong shout out to Lizzie Bear DeGeneres North for her guy.
We got a correction from the chat or a clarification. Grace is saying Lizzie got her brain bashed in, and we saw it. She wasn't shot.
Right. Yeah, she wasn't shot. Yes, I knew something in the
golf club. One for all said a golf club swing took her out.
Yep, in the office. You're right. So we saw that, and she was there with Mortal Kombat playing her head, like full music, like she was up, down, left, right, A, B, hold C, hit D, push start, reset. She was in all of those cheat codes. Okay, she was there.
Yeah,
but she's not the person that I'm going to vote for. I have to mention Quinn Robin Lindsay because we got a chance to see a guy develop in Quinn Robin Lindsay, my favorite character on Scandal. Jania's now favorite character, so says she, from the final episode from the final Scandal. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the tape. She said it. Her words, not mine.
Whatever.
And so I think that I have to give a shout out to Quinn Robin Lindsay because we saw her go from this intern to B613. She bypassed the whole process. The process, not the WHOLE, the HOLE process, where you sit in the bowels of the justice system and they make you think it out and they give you all the training. And she had the TSA pre-version of training in B613. She walked up and they said, "Are you TSA pre or are you Gen Pop? Oh, you're not Gen Pop. Please come this way. You don't keep on your shoes. Don't take your computer out of your bag. Keep your belt on. Come on through. We're going to tell you all the secrets. We're going to give you all the training that you need. And we're going to teach you how to kill someone. And you're going to get away with it scot-free." And so I think that Quinn always had that in the back of her mind, that she was B613 and she had a guy. And she knew how to tap into that guy if she needed to. But her guy was not a part of who she was. She still had a conscience that did not allow her to be so double-minded that she could lead and she could lead an operation where her guy had to be on front street the entire time, like a Jake, like a Charlie, like a Huck could. Now, I will say for Charlie, I agree 100%. Charlie went soft. Charlie was spared. Remember when they took out B613, Charlie was one of the few that remained. And when Charlie remained, he said, "You know what? I'm out. Let me go." Mm-hmm. I did not trust Charlie up until like a few episodes before the show went off the air. And and so I think that Charlie definitely is not an honorable mention, but he had a guy capable of doing some guy things. Jake, we all know what Jake does. But as y'all said, right, Jake punked out. He vacillated way too much. Huck remained Huck, and Huck continues to fight to be Huck and not bring his guy out. Olivia helped him maintain that baseline of sanity so that his mania would not kick in and that guy would come out, because that guy was double dutching in his head, waiting for his chance to jump in. You know how y'all did when you were growing up playing double dutch, and you're looking at the rope. Okay, here we go. He was trying to find that rhythm, and Huck for me takes the role for the scariest guy, because whenever he delivered his lines, Jake always gave us flat affects. He gave you direct head-on eye contact.
That's right.
Very little facial expression. Eyes were relaxed. He looked at you head on and said, "I'm going to kill you now." And like he became very robotic. Huck felt those kills. Huck would be there. He said, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in and I'm going to take your teeth out one by one. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to slowly stab you through your heart and your valve. It's only going to make it bleed out really, really slow. And then you'll know what you did. And you'll think about it. And I'll be the last face that you saw." And then he will back away. So to me, Huck was the scariest guy. No one else compared to Huck. Huck's guy still exists.
Yeah.
Huck's guy was not taken away. His guy was not killed. Huck's guy still exists. So he takes the award for me.
Yeah. LBJ, I think we have finally found a category where you and I are in agreement, and the majority of the chat. I'm also going to vote for Huck. And I think Lorraine Carter summed it up. She said, Huck scared himself. Okay? Huck would be frightened when his guy came out because he had no idea what his guy was going to get into. Okay? So LBJ, my vote is also for Huck. Now I will tell you, this conversation convinced me, because I wasn't going to say Huck. LBJ, I was going to say Charlie, and the reason I was going to say Charlie is that Charlie to me had the furthest, like in terms of the spectrum of experiences that we had with him as a character. His pendulum swung the whole other way. We saw Charlie as a loving father and husband, like truly. We never really saw Jake. I mean, even when he was in the sun with Olivia, it wasn't that same true kind of love. Same thing with Huck. Even as he was obsessed with Olivia and obsessed with his ex-wife / girlfriend, I can't remember, LBJ, it wasn't like that kind of love and devotion that Charlie had. And so because of that, because Charlie's spectrum is so much wider, his guy is a bigger extreme for him. And that's why I was going to say Charlie, LBJ. But the truth is, the evidence is it's Huck, LBJ. I think he wins.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Huck is the winner of
That's it.
the Scariest Guy Award, and
Yeah.
Huck is the first unanimous winner
Yes.
from People's Choice, My Choice, and
Yep.
Jania's Choice. So congratulations to
Yeah.
Guillermo
No.
Diaz.
Now,
You
LBJ,
actually win the award.
really quickly, there was a write-in that we didn't talk about that I think is worth mentioning, and it is Samantha Ruland, LBJ. Okay, that was the lady
Samantha.
in red. Yeah, she's the lady in red.
Oh, yes, Lady in Red and Man with Gun. I forgot about
That's
Lady in
right.
Red. Who brought
See,
up Samantha? Very good.
somebody in the chat brought her up because she is the one. Okay, it was Nola Brooks. Nola Brooks said, "My vote is for the actress that killed Lizzie Bear." Because Lizzie Bear got killed by the lady in red by Samantha Rudd.
Listen, who actually is Cyrus's real daughter? Like that's his biological daughter. The man
Right.
who plays Cyrus, that's his biological daughter. I thought that
Yes.
character was amazing.
Yes.
We were wondering where the show was going with that, but I like how they created that storyline while they figured things out as well. And
Yes.
that was a great storyline with lady. We referred to them
Oh
in our
yeah.
conversation, Lady in
Lady
Red
in
and
red.
Man with Gun.
And
Those are our friends who would come in and essentially try to take command off
yes.
of this post with B613. Now, as we're preparing to talk about command, this is a great way to go into our very last award for the
Yes.
Scandal recap awards show. We're coming to the end, guys. We're
Oh
working on
guys.
2 hours here. Now, here we go. Oh, Janaya is sad. Everyone,
Oh,
be
okay.
patient with her and help her work through her sadness because our
Okay.
very last category
Last
involves
category.
a group of people who have a connection. If you are thinking who I'm thinking, then you're thinking on the right track. Our
Mm-hmm.
last category is called the most scandalous category. Can you guess the nominees in the category? If not, here they are. Janaya, take it away.
LBJ, the nominees for the category of the most scandalous on the Scandalous Scandal Recap Award show is number one. They are number one, Olivia Pope. Number two, Eli Rowan Pope. And number three, Maya Pope, LBJ. These are the nominees for our final category of most scandalous. Oh, LBJ, let's go to the chat.
Let's go
LBJ,
to the chat. Yes.
yes,
Here we go. So in the chat, we have some sad faces because this
I
is us about to
know.
wrap up. This is coming to the end, guys. There was a discussion on Twitter of Olivia's portrait spinoff. Sean just said there would be no spinoffs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's see. Yes, Lorraine, this is the end. Okay, Nola Brooks. Here we go. The first vote. Nola Brooks. Papa Pope in my Oprah voice because he only owns. Kelly says Mama Pope. Lorraine Carter,
Uh-huh.
Mama Pope. Then we have Patricia Weatherspoon, all three.
All
Nice.
three.
Tashelle says
Mm-hmm.
she agrees, all three.
All three.
Rakira, Papa Pope, he ran the country for 3 decades.
Can't argue with
While
that.
you white men sat there thinking you running, a black man was running this country. Oh yes. Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
Vinyl Poet Classics Leon says it has to be Mama. Lorray,
Mm-hmm.
who eats their own wrists to get out of handcuffs.
Ooh.
Linda, Papa Pope with his monologues. Grace, Papa Pope, no question. Eli Rowan, Command, HNIC Pope. Then it says she brought about the bringing down of a plane with 300 people. Ashley B says
Ooh.
Mama Pope forever. Papa F and Pope says Mrs. Creole Davis. Kelly Maya did nothing for the Republic. Nothing for the Republic Maya did, says Kelly. Akosua O, Olivia's hand was in every scandal in Washington. PG says Papa Pope. We have Operation Remington, the Pope family, all of them. T. Wilson, Mama Pope was. Linda says yes to Lorray. She was ruthless, and it has to be Papa Pope, says Rakir, because he ran the country and he stayed free.
Ooh.
So while you were thinking,
Oh.
I will cast my vote. Now, my honorable mention has to go to who Patricia Weatherspoon brought forth, and that's the entire Pope family. Okay? You all know that I wanted a showdown with Mama, Baby, and Papa on this show, but I did not get the showdown. What I did get was two epic monologues from Mama and Papa. When I tell you what they did for Maya Pope and Eli Rowan Pope was nothing less than perfection for me. In my
Yeah.
eyes, for us to say goodbye to these characters, it was epic. You know why? Because these characters created Olivia Pope. And if it wasn't for them, we would not have this woman, Olivia, who has this beautiful portrait in the National Portrait Gallery in the world of Scandal. I think that we got a chance. Mama Pope had to stand alone in her moment that she had when I said that she took her curtain call. It was her bow when she sat in that penthouse and Olivia freed her. I think that we had to have that moment stand alone because Olivia had to reconcile her mother. And by her reconciling her mother had to deliver an epic speech that would live on into eternity. And that's what that did, that speech that Mama Pope delivered to Olivia. And it really had a lasting effect on Olivia. Although she did not react in that moment, Olivia will keep those words just like we will keep those words. Her mother said some really pivotal stuff to her throughout this show. And in that moment, I said that was the curtain call because there was nothing left to be said because her daughter finally became a woman. And so Mama raised her daughter. She's a monster, but she raised someone who has monster-ish tendencies, right? Farewell, Mama Pope. We love you. Honorable mention to Mama Pope. Olivia, you are the spawn of these two individuals. You have these tendencies, okay? That's been established. So my honorable mention goes to the Pope family. You all know how I feel about my man, Eli Rowan Command Pope. I have probably performed a variation of every monologue that he has performed on this show since he walked into the show and Olivia sat in that car and said, Dad? At the end of season 2, we were like, what? Her father? Like every single monologue this man has performed, I have given you a version of it because of his like just technicalities alone. Like Joe Morton is an amazing theatrical actor.
Yes.
And the way that he was able to transform and use characteristics that you use in theatrical acting to television acting was amazing. I felt like I was in a theater watching this man perform a one-man show every single time he delivered a monologue. Aside from the technicality, for the characterization, Rowan Pope represented so much. Rowan Pope represented history. Rowan Pope represented the present. Rowan Pope represented the future. He represented hope. He represented change. Pick up what I'm throwing down. Rowan Pope also represented my mother and my father and my grandparents. He represented your parents too. Any baby boomer, he represented anybody who has had a conversation with a child on a stoop about how you need to be better or twice as better. He represented that. He also represented the fact that there is darkness in this world and you have to fight the darkness sometimes with darkness to bring forth the light. Now, was he dark through and through? No, he was not dark through and through. He held on to what his light was. His light was his daughter, bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. That was his way of reconciling his actions, his life's work. 30 years of his life he gave to running the United States of America, the Republic. 30 years of his life he gave until his daughter exposed him. And he didn't kill his daughter. Even when his daughter had an argument, wanted to kill him and pull the trigger and do all this damage to him, he knew that his daughter couldn't do it. But in case his daughter would do it, he would be okay because that was his light, and his light took out him whom was dark in his own eyes. So I think that the most scandalous of them all, if we have to name a scandalous person, is going to have to be Rowan Pope for me, simply because this man knew who he was. He knew what he was capable of doing. He could turn things on and off like a switch, and he was able to walk away scot-free and get an entire panel of elected officials to say, we are going to listen to you, said non-elected man, who has come forth as the leader of this dark interweb working of the CIA, and tell us who we need to lock up for the rest of his life in a federal prison. Oh, yes, the most scandalous person that we will see and have seen on this show. You want to know who the most scandalous person is on this show? You want to know who I think it is? It's the hell. It's the high water. It's the one who will not say, I won't sign your shoes, Sir Fitz. I'm not going to read your newspaper. I won't make your tea for you, Miss Sally. I am Rowan Pope. I am command. You will do as I say. You are a boy. I am a man. Bow down and kiss my pinky ring. Rowan Pope. Wow. Love you, man. You're my role model. The more you know.
Man, you are bad at picking role models. But that was excellent, LBJ. That was
Bad at picking role model. Hilarious.
You really picked a horrible person to have as a role model, but that
that man was some kind of courage. Can you imagine having that kind of courage? Just think if in the last 10 years of your life, when you, and I'm just not saying you, Janiyah, but you watching this, you, me, anyone watching this, if you had the courage of a Rowan Pope to sit in the face of an enemy and talk and speak with fervor and conviction without blinking an eye and rattle off facts that mean something, and then say, this is what I'm going to do and how I'm going to use it. Oh, that's role model worthy.
Yeah. Listen,
Rowan, can you be my mentor?
And here's the question you have to answer: are you into murder? And if your answer is yes, then you just might qualify as a mentee. But LBJ, I think you've thrown out some really, really valid points here. Okay. No one would argue with anything that you have said. Okay. Because what you have articulated is a case for a true mastermind of things. Okay. And I understand why, LBJ. And I'm going to go ahead and say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all, LBJ, to see that you have voted for Eli Rowan Pope. My vote, LBJ, is not for Papa Pope, okay? And it is not, wait for it, for Olivia either. My vote, listen, it's for Mama Pope, LBJ. She, LBJ, is in my mind the most scandalous. And why? Well, I'm glad you asked. And I really think that Kelly summed it up better than I was even going to be able to. Kelly says Maya did nothing for the Republic. Okay? So, if we reflect on every single monologue that Papa Pope has made, and if we think of Papa Pope as our teacher, okay, or as LBJ would say, as our mentor, okay, if we think of Papa Pope and we're sitting at his knee, learning from him, what was he teaching us? He was teaching us about power, okay? He was teaching us, LBJ, about control, okay? And what he was really teaching us, LBJ, is about intention, all right? And at the end of the day, Papa Pope, every single thing that he was doing, it was for the love of the Republic. And so, as crazy and as twisty and as malicious as some of it was, when you scrape past that malice, and mind you, when you're scraping past it, you're going to have blood and guts and countries and wars under your fingernails. Once you scrape past all of that, what you see under there are intentions that frankly do have some virtue. And that's why Joe Morton is the only person that could have played this character. You talked about the complexity of Papa Pope, LBJ. He's the only one that could have played it, because what makes the character so complex is that his executions were not virtuous, but his motive was. He truly felt like he was doing the best thing for America. And Maya Pope, on the other hand, LBJ, Maya Pope was a terrorist. Okay?
What was she, Janiyah?
A terrorist. Okay? LBJ, her whole motive was power, control, money. Okay? She was all about the Benjamins. Okay? Hashtag all about the Benjamins. LBJ, she was trying to hop on that money train. I'm trying to think of other 80s, 90s references. LBJ, Mama Pope was not working for her family at all. Okay? She was not working for the Republic. She was working for those dollar bills, y'all. The dollar bills. And for that reason, LBJ, for that reason, okay, my vote for most scandalous goes to Maya Pope. Why? Because she was about the dollar bills, y'all. That's it. That's what I gotta say, OBJ. That's my vote.
Janaya, that was so good. So I had a feeling you were probably going to vote for Mama Pope
Yeah,
because I mean, how could you not vote for Mama Pope, right? Like
right, right.
we
She
literally be
was
like,
out for herself. That's what Vinyl Poet Classic Lion said. She was out for herself, LBJ.
yeah. So here's the thing. I about Mama Pope. I once we met Mama Pope and we saw how vicious she was, and we were
Yeah.
craving appearances from Mama Pope. I'm that
Yes.
nerd that looks inside. I watch credits when they roll, open credits and closing credits, especially open credits. And I would be looking for that oh my gosh, what's her name? Candy. Candy, I'd be looking for Candy Alexander's name to roll in the
Yes.
credits, and they would always place it at some point on the part of the screen where you could potentially overlook it if you were really paying attention to the show. And if I saw Candy Alexander, I'm like, oh, Mama Pope's in the show tonight. What's she gonna do?
Yes.
Like, and you know what I lived for every time tonight? You know what I was ready for? Livy. I waited for her to say Livy to her. She'd be waiting for her daughter to come in and she would be laying a smackdown on her again, like you ain't nothing but the help. Like she was schooling her daughter like her ex-husband was schooling her, right? So here's the thing. I think that we should close out. Oh wait, so the People's Choice Award goes to, in this category, Papa Pope. I voted for Papa Pope. You voted for Mama Pope. My honorable mention was for um, the entire Pope family as the honorable mention. So I think that this is Kelly says that she wants us to grant them one more recap because there is more that can be discussed. So here's the thing. I want to bring forth two things to discuss as we wrap. Think about
Yes.
this and post your comments in the chat so we can bring them up in the video. Let's talk about, what do you think the legacy of Scandal is? And then two, that's the deep one. The surface
That's
one,
so deep, LBJ.
yeah, that's the deep one. The surface question is, and we can just jump right into this. What do you think happened? Why do you think Olivia has a portrait that hangs in the National Portrait Gallery at this point? Now, as you're thinking about your comments, I'll give you a few behind the scenes notes. Go back and watch the episode and fast forward to the closing montage after Olivia has her meeting with Melly on the Truman balcony, and she exits the White House, and she's leaving. Stevie Wonder actually wrote that song "Sunny Days" for Scandal. Stevie Wonder wrote that song for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's behind the scenes. Remember, for the jam session, we were trying to figure it all out. He wrote it for them. Number
That's
two,
right.
did you know that the painting that now hung in QPA, the abstract painting of with the colors that was behind Quinn's desk, was actually painted by one of Shonda Rhimes' daughters?
Oh,
Cool fact. Super duper
wow.
cool fact. And she painted it when she was 4 years old. If you go to Shonda's Twitter, she actually shows a picture of her daughter, who's now like 13, 14, I think. And she's
Oh.
standing next to the picture, pointing to it. If you also recognize that young lady, I believe it's because she was a little girl who was walking hand in hand with another little girl
Oh.
up to the Olivia Pope portrait in the National Portrait Gallery as well. Now, here we go to the portrait conversation. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
no. The other thing is that we actually did time hop in the closing montage of the show.
Yep.
Remember, I mentioned go back and read go back and read the language that was on the bill that Melly was signing. If you go back and read that language, you'll see that Marcus was standing behind Melly during the signing, and the bill dealt with gun control. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the sponsor of the bill was none other than Senator Marcus Walker. So Marcus
Mm-hmm.
actually ran for office and he won. Now, one of our gladiator friends that watches the Scandal recap was able to attend the live cast read of the final episode of Scandal in Los Angeles. They did this full live read last week, and they read scenes that weren't even in the show. One of the
Mm-hmm.
scenes in the show was a scene between Fitz and Marcus having a conversation about Marcus's next steps and his plans for the future after all this B613 stuff settled, and he was going to like go his own way. And yes, thank you, Lorraine, for sending the link to the song "Future Sunny Day." Then we got a chance to see, the audience got a chance to see in that moment that there was a scene deleted that included Marcus and Fitz having a conversation, thus fast forwarding to why he was able to sponsor that bill because he ran for office and he won. Now, people are wondering if Olivia Pope became president since we time hopped. Some people thought that those were Fitz and Olivia's girls walking into the portrait gallery to see this photo of Olivia. I don't think that that's true because there was no Secret Service there. These were little girls who were going to look at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Janiyah, that what do you think? What is the reason behind the portrait hanging in the gallery? I shared my reason Thursday about her contribution to the social fabric and the work of the Republic. And Shonda Rhimes really is the only person, by the way, who knows the answer. She said it's a spoiler alert that she chooses to keep to herself because
forever,
and that's her little jewel. So what do you, if you could get into the mind of Shonda, what do you think is the reason?
Well, let me first just say that this was the first time that I've ever rolled my eyes at Shonda Rhimes. And I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to say it because I love, everybody knows, don't nobody say nothing bad about my Shonda Rhimes because I love me some Shonda Rhimes, okay? But when she shaped her mouth, LBJ, to say, I'm never going to tell what happens to Olivia and why her portrait was hanging there, it's a little secret I'm going to keep to myself. LBJ, my eyes rolled all the way from the right side of my head, a full, and this really did happen, 360 degrees all the way back around. Like, what? We won't ever get to know? I mean, just nothing. So that's my first reaction to Shonda keeping this little nugget to herself. Okay. But the beauty of it now, searching for the silver lining, is that we all get to guess. We get to fantasize. We get to decide for ourselves what happens next. And LBJ, there are a lot of guesses in the chat. Some people do think that she became president, LBJ. Rakira is saying Olivia in her natural hair, the portrait says we the people, she was president. Tashelle is saying the portrait is Liv saving the Republic. And Tashelle is also confirming that Marcus was a senator. He becomes a senator. Rachel Minka says, could the portrait be symbolic? Black women are a crucial part of the history of America. Important. The help are always there fixing things for the Republic. Hashtag never forget. LBJ, there are a lot of things that we could come up with as to why the picture is there. And I have not spent any time committing to a narrative. I think that it is wonderful for us to know that Olivia remained in the public eye. We know that whatever she did, it resonated very greatly. Okay. We also know that she was in the National Portrait Gallery, not the White House. That photo was not up in the White House. Okay. So, there's what we know is that Olivia probably ended up living a life of significance that involved her wearing a white hat. And in fact, I wish a white hat laying on the floor in the background of the picture or something. But LBJ, I think for me, the picture tells me that Olivia lived a life of significance and resonance in a positive way after the show ended. And that's it. I haven't committed to a narrative beyond that. And LBJ, your other question about the legacy of the show, and that scene with those little girls walking there and seeing that beautiful Black woman there who, again, leaning into her Blackness in the way that she was portrayed in the photo, that's the legacy of this show. The legacy of this show is that when Scandal came out 7 seasons ago, there were no character. We didn't have a primetime drama lead that was a Black woman. I mean, it was a rare and precious thing. And now it's a bit more prevalent. And it's because Shonda Rhimes and Kerry Washington broke that barrier right now. And they both continue to do so. So for me, the legacy of the show is about the barriers that it broke, not in the Scandalverse, but the barriers that were broken out here in the real world by the show's very existence. And I will also say, LBJ, that for me, I have a very personal attachment to this show when it comes down to conversation about the legacy of it. Because I personally, and you guys know this because LBJ and I have shared this in the chat. We are both working in careers that are very fulfilling for us and very important. We both work in the nonprofit sector and we're working hard. Larry works to empower children, Black children specifically. I work, fighting to improve the criminal justice system. So our work is virtuous and important to us. But there is a piece of who we are, and it's this creative, fun space that we have not, professionalized in any way. And so for me, this scandalous scandal recap, the show Scandal, it was my opportunity. This was the first time that I ever really leaned into this thing that I love so much, which is just this comedy, this humor, this banter, this, you know, just this piece of me that comes to me so naturally that I've never been able to leverage professionally. So the legacy of the show for me personally was about me being brave and leaning into a piece of who I am as well. So it runs deep for me, LBJ. It runs deep. Did you and then LBJ, for you, what's the legacy of the show?
So I'm glad you asked me that question first, because I will pick up where you left off. And I kind of teased this when we closed out Thursday's conversation. I said, Janiyah, we made it to the end. Did you think that we would make it to the end? We didn't know what we were going to be doing when we started doing this. I remember calling you before season 2 debuted, like, Janiyah, do you want to? And you were like, oh, well, I don't know about the time. And we'll see. Like, are we gonna pitch this? Like, is this gonna be? I'm like, I don't know. Like, let's see. Like, I know there's a platform that exists and we can have an audience. And let's see what happens. Let's see how the audience picks up. And no, we are not lawyers. Vinyl Poet Classics, Leon, we are not lawyers. No, he asked if we are lawyers. No, we're not. And so I'm so grateful for this show, because the legacy that I have, that you have, is that we have an entire series of recap conversations of us being us that will live on the internet until they take the internet off of the internet. And we have this, people who will binge watch this show will go and watch the episode and then may look to us to see what did they say, what was going on in 2000 whatever, when this show aired, and what was the commentary like, and then compare it to the commentary of 2000 whatever when they're binge watching the show, when Grayson's children are watching Scandal and they're like, let's go see Grandpa talk about this when Grandpa's beard was black and we saw it turn black and white, like all that. So it's that I think that this legacy is personally for me. And again, thank you so much for saying yes to this opportunity to do this. I wouldn't have done it with anybody else other than you, Janiyah, because
I know,
we're
right?
who we are, right? So I think that this show, from a standpoint of creativity and storytelling, I think that this show opened the door to tell so many other stories of people and human stories of people that really exist, but you're just embellishing them here and there. And I think that we can't let this go by without shouting out Judy Smith. Judy Smith is the original inspiration of Olivia Pope. If you don't know who Judy Smith is, Google Judy Smith. I promise you will find out everything about Judy Smith. Well, not everything, but you'll find out all the top executive level talking points of Judy Smith releases about Judy Smith. And you will see that she was Shonda Rhimes' muse for Olivia Pope and to create this show. And I love the fact that what this show did is that it created an opportunity for a woman of color to be a lead, but also opened other doors for other women of color to be leads and other cast members to be of color and of note in a cast, and have some good meat and some good content on this thing. I mean, Scandal was that. In addition, Scandal also has a lasting legacy in so much that Scandal caused the internet to start breaking when it first started, because Twitter blew up. Scandal was a show that was unintentionally
It
Uh,
was the first live tweeted show per Roland Martin.
yes, it was. It was.
Yeah, Larry's mom put me on to a tall Delta 55, put me on to some a video that Roland Martin posted, and he says that Scandal was the very first show that was live tweeted, LBJ, the very first one.
Yeah, and I think that, and I would say that, fact check on Roland, like that was the first show tweeted live outside of an award show. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that when they saw that people were talking online about the show, they made their cast members, they wrote it into their contracts, you have to engage on social. And they did just that, and it worked. I think that I hear some of you in the comments what you're saying about your legacy. You're saying that this legacy is what prepared our country for this time. I agree. This legacy, yes, the legacy is amazing. Also, we have to see that Janaya, you're going to say something.
Yeah, LBJ, I just wanted to thank the chat because the chat, you were talking about Judy Smith. And the chat, it was Vinyl Poet Classics Lion that talked about Judy Smith's book, Good Self, Bad Self. And I have the book here showing it to people. I just pulled it off of my bookcase here. I actually met Judy Smith shortly after this book came out and heard her speak. And it's a really great book. It's Good Self, Bad Self, Transforming Your Worst Qualities into Your Biggest Assets. So really good book. It has lots of my notes and highlights in it. So thank you for calling that out, Vinyl Poets Classics Lion.
Sure. So I think that ultimately this show provided an opportunity to strategically add commentary to the social commentary, to
Yep.
the social woes and the ups and downs of the American public for this time. And I think that we will, just as we look at Law and Order and say, they pulled this from that headline, you'll look at Scandal and say they pulled this from that headline. And
Mm.
you'll see how those people in that world that the folks in Shondaland created, how they functioned in that bubble inside of Shondaland. One of the things that I wanted to bring forth before we wrap up, it's from oh gosh, it was from PG. And PG, I'm going to read your comment because it really touched me from the video from our final, from the final scandal. And I will close with this to say thank you to everyone. PG says, Janai, I don't know if you saw this. She says, I sent these comments and segments Thursday night, but was not sure you saw them. I have a feeling they went over the number of words allowed. I will try to participate Sunday, but just in case, Larry and Janaya, there are not enough words to tell you how much I have enjoyed your wonderful commentary. You are so sophisticated, so sharp, so Afrocentric, so funny, so warm and loving. Thank you for making each one of us feel a part of your broadcast.
Oh
Love
my
you all.
gosh,
My
I'm gonna
inner circle
cry.
stopped watching Scandal. I found new friends in this digital world. Friends, thank you for communicating without vulgarities or stupidity. Thank you for the conversations, discovering symbolism, remembering past events, brilliant conclusions. I look forward to chatting as much as the show. I will truly miss this show. Although I did not agree with the choices the character Olivia made or the morality she displayed, I will always relish this beautiful Black woman being regarded as the smartest woman anywhere. How she walked like royalty and dressed like a queen. How she
Wow.
was strongly desired and chosen over what the world feels the imagery of beauty is on the majority of our magazines. Finally, I will always remember that hair salon scene with Viola Davis,
Yes.
emoji, blushing smiley face. Thank
Yes.
you so much. And PG, that just that captured so much of what I did not realize that we were doing in this conversation. But thank you for bringing that to light. Janaya is sitting over there crying right now because she wasn't even ready. She didn't even read the comments still.
Oh
She
my
didn't even read
God.
the comments.
And I have to tell you guys know my makeup is from the dollar store. You can't make me cry on screen here like this. You know, you, you know my mascara is not top notch. Oh my gosh. You know what? I thank you so much for saying that because it's so interesting how this chat, which really started out as something just fun to do and just getting outside the box, has just become so important to me, and I've just really enjoyed it. And I really truly am going to miss everybody, like seriously. So I hope we can actually keep in touch. And yes, leaning into my just being transparent about my granny Janaya-ness, I have I have an Instagram account. I swear to you.
Wait, you have an Instagram account? Who says who?
Listen,
Wait, get my cell phone out now.
Listen, I have an Instagram account, but it literally says 0 posts. Like, I've never posted on it.
Look, I'm about to follow you right now. My
time.
Instagram is loading right now, and I need to.
Listen,
it's updating.
Please, LBJ, we're probably already linked up on there. I started it, and then I literally just never used it. But I want to tell you guys something. I am conceptualizing right now some content that I'm going to be putting out there. I'm working on it. And listen, I'm like really working on it. Like I signed up for an improv class. Like I'm really figuring this thing out. And so please follow me on Instagram. Now, you're not going to see no post on there right now. But LJ, that's what I'm going to use Instagram and Facebook and Twitter when I get started, which actually, guys, will be soon. So follow
what
me.
What you're supposed to do is say follow me at.
Oh, follow me at. Thanks, LBJ. Follow me at the Janiyah Wright. That's my name on Instagram and also isn't that name handle? That's my handle on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh, and I'm following you. I'm actually following you. Yes,
I'm sure.
Yes,
I'm sure. I don't even open it. I never even look in there. But I am going to soon, and I just hope you guys, because this is a way for us to keep in touch. I mean, social media brought us together, and we can stay together, you know, and I want to be a part of that. I hope you do too. So
thank you so much. So if you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram at Larry Brown Jr., just like Twitter. You can catch me on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Larry Brown Jr., all one word, Larry Brown Jr., Larry Brown, like we call it, Jr. You can catch me there. I have something cooking as well, just like Janiyah does. We are looking for the next Larry and Janiyah project. I've seen.
We don't know what comments. It is yet.
Yes, we are looking for a project. Ideas. So some of you talking about Claws, some of you said do a Netflix show. We're looking for
Queen Sugar. A couple of people have said
several have said Queen Sugar. We're going to season 3.
But
yeah. So we're looking. So listen, continue to keep up with us on social media. If Janiyah is non-responsive, shoot me something on Instagram. Yay! My Facebook. So Facebook is way multi-generational. So I have all kinds of generations on my Facebook page and my profile. And so it's difficult to maneuver through my messages on Facebook. If you hit me on Instagram, I'm quick to reply to on Instagram there. Folks, you can put your handles in the chat as well if you all want to keep in touch with each other. But if you want to just subscribe to the account so that we can hit you when we do our next thing, and when the next project rolls out, you'll get that information. We'll be sure to support Janiyah's individual projects and my individual projects and our collective projects, because we are on the move. Yay! And we thank you so very much. I'm not going to cry because I've already got my sadness out. So I'm going to let the rest of you be misty-eyed and wax poetic over all of this. But I am certainly going to miss you. Candace asked the other day, so what are you going to do on Thursdays? I was like, act like this is a hiatus for right now and then get ready for this summer event that I have going on. And just enjoy Grace and the family right now and continue to work on whatever is going to be next for us, Janiyah, because
that's right.
The people want us. They want us.
LBJ, we're gonna work on something, you guys. So please stay tuned. Keep in touch with us. And thank you so much for this amazing 7 seasons. We love you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, bye-bye. No more scandal recap. This is it. We're dancing off into the audience like Cliff and Claire. Doom, 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 doom.